Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Slow Burn Pro Wrestling Podcast, where all professional wrestling storylines live. As always, I am your host, Matt Brannon, bringing you all of professional wrestling's news, rumors, innuendos, and anything else pro wrestling that you can come up with. Welcome on our Friday show, guys. It's been a couple days, and my gosh, it feels like it's been forever, but there's been wrestling after wrestling after wrestling. We're going to try to get through some of that. Here's our plan today, guys. I want to go detailed through AEW Dynamite. Great fucking show, AEW Dynamite on Wednesday. We got a lot to rehash with that and a huge build to this weekend's Revolution. I cannot wait for Revolution Sunday night. And then I want to talk a little bit about TNA Impact from last night as they build towards their new pay-per-view Sacrifice, which is coming up next Friday in El Paso. And I want to do a little preview on SmackDown, but I will tell you guys there's very, very little information on SmackDown that's coming out so far this afternoon. So, we'll get what we can get. Before we get to anything, though, there is one thing I want to say. News that came out today, the WWE have announced their next member of this year's 2025 Hall of Fame class. And I want to say I cannot be happier that the WWE are finally going to let Lex Luger, the Lex Express, baby, the total package. They're going to let Lex Luger in the WWE Hall of Fame, and it is very, very deserved. So happy for Lex. I know that his life has not had its share of ups in the recent few years, and we see him getting healthy right now with DDP Yoga, and we're seeing Lex finally start to thrive again, and I love that because he has had a rough go of it in the recent past. So, great to see Lex Luger going to get into that Hall of Fame. What a class, man. Triple H, Michelle McCool, Lex Luger. I have a feeling this is going to grow a little bit more too as we get going. So, in the old ways, away from the WWE for a moment and on to the alternative, right? We all know how I feel about AEW, and let me go ahead and tell you, Dynamite this week was awesome. What a great go-home show for Dynamite as we get ready to lead into Revolution, which is Sunday night in Los Angeles, right? Now, I want to say, for me, Dynamite was good from beginning to end. It had a little bit of issue in it. I'll get to that. But as far as a show, this is maybe the better go-home show that they've done in a while. I really think that sometimes AEW misses sometimes on their go-home show because it just feels like they throw a bunch of people together for different tag matches to kind of build stories. That was somewhat the case this time, but I'm going to tell you, all of this worked. And to be honest, all of it kind of set up more, which is something I'm very excited for. So, great show. It starts off fantastic. MJF outside the building. By the way, great freaking facility. I forget off the top of my head the name of the building that they were in. It's in Sacramento. You could tell it was like a musical theater, where you would see concerts and things of that sort. But the way they had that set up, man, it was really damn good. And I thought the crowd was freaking hot. But MJF starts to show up outside of the building, and old school style, he basically challenges Hangman Page to a fight like a man. Threatening him. He's getting that aggression out. By the way, this MJF is the MJF that we all yearn for, all right? This is the MJF that we all need. You didn't even know you needed this MJF, but this is the MJF that we're all needing and we're all going to get, and I'm so freaking happy about that. So, MJF threatening to fight Hangman, nothing happens with it, and then that brings us to the ring. All right. I was actually kind of surprised they started the show itself in the indoor section of the show off with Swerve and Ricochet's contract signing. I did get what I wanted with Tony Schiavone in the ring. I thought that, excuse me, mentioned that Friday after work, right? But I thought that the contract signing actually went really good. I know that, like, I've read some of the stuff on the dirt sheets and some of the magazines that basically have said that this segment missed. I freaking disagree 100%. Now, I want all things out on the table, though. Let's go ahead and let you know. I am a sucker for a contract signing. I don't know why. I feel like that leads so much to the story, and also it leads to the realism of what that match could mean, right? No one can get out of it now. It's a signed contract. And, we see that it's boxing. You see the signed contracts. MMA, signed contracts. when they add this bout of realism to professional wrestling, I absolutely love it. And I thought this worked good. I thought that they played well off of one another. I freaking love the fact that they asked where Prince Nana's robe was at, and Ricochet said it was getting some upgrades. Nana kind of lost it, thought he was going to go after him. He gets held back by Swerve, right? I thought that was such a freaking good little piece. And then Ricochet starts rattling off at the mouth again. Then he keeps saying, Swerve, keeps saying, sign the contract. And you could tell what was happening. It was the heel rattling off at the mouth. Very chicken shit heelish, by the way. He's rattling off at the mouth. Swerve being the baby, sign the contract. It's just, I want to get my fucking hands on you, right? And that's where we go. And then the ultimate put down was mentioned. As Swerve mentions Ricochet's wife, Samantha Irvin, right? And I thought that was freaking great. We haven't, and he didn't mention my name. He just said ring announcer wife, and I thought that, excuse me, I thought that was such a great position because here we have this battle has been happening for a while now, and now you finally get that mention. Oh, by the way, I remember that your wife used to be the lead ring announcer for the other company. That's pretty much what he's saying, and I liked it. I thought it was great. I thought the whole piece was great. And again, I'm a sucker for a good contract signing. Now at the end, Swerve's leaving the match or leaving the ring. You see Ricochet jumping in those after he makes the Samantha Irvin comment. He grabs in, gets his little gold fancy pants scissors, and Swerve blocks it. Right, completely blocks it. Knew it was coming. Like that's old hat, man. I've done this before. We've all been down this road before. Then what you didn't know is that Swerve brought a pair of scissors himself, right? And he's gonna cut up Ricochet. And now, which later on in the show, when Ricochet comes out with the bandage, I really like that as far as playing off of the injury. Really good work. And like I said, the whole segment to me was excellent, and it was just a perfect way. We had a great way to start the show. MJF challenging Hangman to a fight outside. We roll into the contract signing. Then we get a very interesting matchup, right? We get the Callous Crew, kinda is what I said here. We had Mark Davis. We had my guys, the Murder Hawk Monsters, where we have Brian Cage and the Murder Hawk Lance Archer tagging up with the Learning Trees Brian Keith. I assume this will be the last of the interactions with the Bounty Hunter trying to help out. They're going up against, by the way, I love this foursome. All right. Powerhouse Hobbs, Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe, and of course the aerial assassin Will Ospreay. Now, again, this is something that in the past I have complained about. Don't just throw a bunch of people in together for a tag just for the sake of having a good match. That didn't happen here. Yeah, they threw some people together, but they all had a link to a story. Honestly, the only one that really didn't work for me was Brian Keith, who I love, but Brian Keith didn't work at that point. But there was history because of last week's bounty match that he had. So, this whole thing worked, and my God, the match was freaking phenomenal. The match was weird, obviously, because we had a little bit of interaction with everybody. You guys know when we get these 8-10 man tag matches, everybody spots up. The match usually goes 15-20 minutes, and it's a spot fest in a lot of ways. This had the spots, but it also had great action and had hard hitting, and I thought it was really good. Now, I was surprised at how it all kind of spaced out with who was matching up with who in some of those battles. But then when you realize that Kyle Fletcher's not in there, so Will Ospreay's going to have to go another direction, it does make sense. And it plays out that way. Now, again, though, with this said, Will Ospreay gets the pin, which was fantastic, right? Will Ospreay takes the pin. By the way, they pinned Brian Keith. You deserve better than that, Bounty Hunter. You deserve better than that, Bad Apple. So you shouldn't be taking the pin on Down Callus's dirty laundry, right? But I want to say that the Ospreay pin, that's all well and good. You're trying to make the big superstar look the hottest, and that's fine. But it would have took a damn freight train to not make Powerhouse Hobbs look like the strongest guy in this match. And I don't mean physical strength. I mean, he looked like a badass. His spots were great. He didn't miss. His interactions with the crowd was great. I love him calling meat. I think that's awesome. If you were watching, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not watching, you're thinking, what the fuck? But I thought the whole thing worked. I really did. The beat down after worked. They obviously, numbers game ends up prevailing. Obviously, taking out Powerhouse Hobbs early in that little beatdown post match was smart. Then you get Kyle Fletcher. What I really liked in this post beatdown was the interactions with Mark Davis. Now, it's kind of obvious. Mark Davis, by the way, the way he's using that internal struggle of what's good and what's right, that's kind of interesting right now. And the way he's playing that with his eyes is so freaking good. And I thought for a second there we were going to get the Mark Davis kind of coming out of this whole funk and leaving the Callis family. But then Kyle Fletcher shows that control he has on him, how he's under his thumb here at all parts. And the beatdown worked. The beatdown was excellent. Fletcher looked good, and I honestly thought it left me wanting more. By the way, at Revolution, the Fletcher-Will Ospreay match in a cage is going to be outstanding. I can't even say how good this is going to be. I just did because I said outstanding, but still, I hope y'all are looking forward to that Sunday night. It could be a show stealer without a doubt with these two dudes. The rubber match, by the way, 1-1 right now. So what did we have? Shortly after that, we had, and I was kind of surprised that this match was in the middle of the card. We had Cope versus Wheeler Yuta. Number one, I want to say Wheeler Yuta's entrance was awesome. The way he drives up, right? He drives up to the building, the front of the building. He walks in the damn front door like he owns the freaking place. By the way, where's security at, and why didn't they check for a ticket? I've been to shows. Like, that's bullshit. But he walks in through the front. He walks in through the crowd. Great freaking entrance from Yuta. And then we get Cope. And Cope's entrance was fantastic as well. I mean, he's slow trod down to the ring. You guys know I love it when that's on. However, the match took a different path. Cope had been very clear coming into this that he was going to take out every Death Rider one by one by one. He started off with Pac. He's taken out Claudio. He's also taken out Marina Shafir. So obviously you assume by the end of this matchup, he's going to do a concerto to Wheeler Yuta as well. Not so fast. This match was awesome, and it was an old school grappling, ground based wrestling match, and it was so good. I mean, that's Wheeler Yuta's forte. You guys know he's a protege of Bryan Danielson, aka Daniel Bryan. So if you remember how he wrestled, if you're not familiar with Yuta, a lot of the same type of stuff. Matter of fact, the cattle mutilation submission is one of the best freaking moves in all the business. And I don't know how many people out there can actually perform that move and perform it well. Yuta does it as well as anybody not named Bryan Danielson. Look at me giving Wheeler Yuta props. That's weird. But I'd say this is one of the best freaking times I've seen Wheeler Yuta. And the match I know played into that strength. Now, during the match, I thought the announce team did a great job. Like, I'm so surprised that it's going this way, and Edge is playing into Yuta's strengths and blah, blah. I immediately knew what was happening, right? And I don't think I'm not sitting here saying I'm the freaking greatest prognosticator of all time, although I'm pretty damn close. Barry Horowitz. So, like, I thought immediately, like, he's trying to put Yuta down on his level and show him there's a right way to do things. And show him, and at the end, he gets the microphone, Edge gets the pin, Cope gets the pin, and then comes out and shakes his hand. On the mic, very aggressively, this is what respect looks like, son. And then, mic down, walk out of the ring, Yuta looking freaking confused as hell, mental freaking warfare. So now Moxley running out to do his friggin' thing, to basically berate Wheeler Yuta, everything short of kicking his ass, and I'll be damned if Yuta doesn't walk off. I think Edge completed exactly what he wanted to do. He took the Death Riders out one by one. Pac, Claudio, and Marina, physically, obviously, they're injured. They left an ambulance, okay? Wheeler Yuta, he left to go see a psychiatrist. He got him mentally. So here you go. You've shut all this down. And by the way, here's Moxley again. So mad. And I'm totally excited now for what this match is going to mean. Are we going to get a new champion? Are we going to get a new AEW champion Sunday night? I will give you my predictions tomorrow, okay, on the Saturday short. But overall, I thought this match was fantastic. I thought the setup was fantastic. I thought Yuta was better than he has been in a very, very, maybe the best he's ever been, in my opinion. I haven't been a big Yuta guy. So I thought this was great. After that, we had the Kenny Omega message. It was kind of generic. We kind of knew what was going to happen, pumping up a little highlight action and what we're going to see moving forward. By the way, here again, Kenny Omega versus Takeshita for the international belt. I don't want to be the match that goes on after that. I just don't. By the way, that's something else we want to talk about, and we'll get into it tomorrow in the Saturday short. This Revolution pay-per-view, it's going to be interesting to see how they stack the card of where all these are going to be. I hope that Tony and Mariah are the main event, is what I hope, but I don't know if we'll get that or not because of the Moxley versus Cope. That's probably going to be your main event. What do you open with, though? You open with the cage match? I don't know. There's so many possibilities. And honestly, it could play a little factor in how this show runs. It really could. Let's just call it what it is. So, but there's so many damn good matches. It's going to be hard to screw. It's going to be hard to take a bathroom break. Let me tell you that. I hope you can pause your stuff. Speaking of which, pausing your stuff, pay-per-view going to be available on Amazon Prime. That was announced too with AEW. Kind of curious what's that going to mean for future pay-per-views on Max. Also, I'm kind of curious on the pricing of that because, let's be honest, if it's cheaper on Amazon Prime than it is the other, then we kind of play it one way. The other thing is, if it's the same as what it is now, I'm going to give my money to Triller. I really am. They're the freaking wrestling folks. Amazon Prime's not the wrestling people. That's where you buy your books, right? So anyway, I'm so looking forward to where we're going with this. I think there's a lot of action we can do this weekend. So I will get to all of that. I don't want to get ahead of myself. And that leads us back to where we started, MJF and Hangman. MJF, he's outside. He's still threatening. Renee's trying to get her little interview in. And then all of a sudden, you see this big-ass truck with freaking longhorns pulling up, and it almost runs into MJF. It's Hangman. Hangman jumps out of his truck. By the way, that seems like a little bit from home to me. If you're one of my people from home, you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. But he jumps out of his truck, and he's just looking to kick somebody's ass. So he follows MJF into the arena, gets a hold of MJF, and starts his thing until he realizes that that's not MJF, right? And the guy's, he made me do it. He made me. That was such a good ploy. I love it. Attack from behind. Classic MJF heel work. And then MJF proceeds to beat the piss out of Hangman Adam Page. I'm going to go ahead and say this. These guys are wrestling at Revolution on Sunday. Real question is this going to be a street fight now? Is it going to be no DQ, false count anywhere? They almost have to add something to it now because as this beatdown is going on, number one, MJF's shirt, his button shirt comes off. He's wearing a T-shirt that says MJF did nothing wrong. I want one of those T-shirts. MJF did nothing wrong. So if any of my fans out there are ready to buy me a shirt, there you go. All 7 of you should do that. You know that. Thank you, Mom. So that, I was surprised in the ass kicking, but it went further. The diamond ring, we know all about that. Hangman's out cold. And what does MJF do? Lighter fluid. Sprays lighter fluid all over, right? He's going to light this son of a bitch on fire. Then you see all the security from the state of California. I almost said South Carolina. State of California run in, tackle MJF, and boom, boom, boom. We got a big old shift here, right? So overall, that piece, oh my God, it was good. I really like the announcers too, playing off of the lighter fluid, playing off of the smell of the lighter fluid, and then we saw the officials come in, and they were, and I really, that adds again to the realism. And guys, I'm sure it was real lighter fluid. Mm-hmm. So, like, I just thought the piece was good. I thought it was a different flip because it's not often that you see MJF get the upper hand in this battle against Hangman. And on top of that, it's not often you see Hangman lose a freaking street fight, right? So overall, though, awesome job, both these guys. And what did it do? It left me wanting more, okay? And so far, when we go down this card that I've said so far from Dynamite, all it's done is leave me wanting more. And we're going to get that more. Collision tomorrow. I'll preview it shortly, right? And then obviously Sunday. I cannot wait for Revolution, and I'll predict that tomorrow as well. had a really good piece on the Outrunners in their faded old VHS recording that they did. We had a great piece backstage as far as our Queen of the Ring, Toni Storm, backstage with the director. By the way, later on in the show, Toni and Mariah get this little interview. I'm not going to go into detail on that, but I do want to say freaking great job, ladies. I'm not going to talk a ton about Toni and Mariah today. It's the best story in AEW. That's all I'm going to say. If you're not watching this, that's your fault. This is the best thing going in women's wrestling right now, and women's wrestling is freaking phenomenal. But yeah, I just thought that they're going to lead so much into the future. By the way, Queen of the Ring opens tonight nationwide, starring Toni Storm. It's the story about Mildred Burke, old school female wrestler when times had to be hard if you were a lady in the wrestling business. So give that a shout out. I'm going to try to get in and see it this weekend, hopefully. Also, I want to say, last night at the premiere of Queen of the Ring, Mariah May kicked Toni Storm's ass on the red carpet. Like, we literally had it happen at the red carpet. I can only imagine what the Hollywood types felt about that. But regardless, great job, ladies. This story continues to build, and I cannot wait to see it come to fruition on Sunday night, right? We had the tag match with Thunder Rosa and Stat, Chris Statlander versus Megan Bayne and Penelope. They rebounded from their issues. We'll just call them issues that they had last week with the chair and nobody wanting to really move, and it looked like somebody had some miscommunication. Anyway, that match last night was fantastic. I always love to see Thunder Rosa in the ring. And more than that, Megan Bayne, they're getting ready to strap a rocket to her ass. You can see it, right? You can see it coming. Megan Bayne looks strong. And I want to say, out of all the times we've seen her so far, a couple squashies, whatever, last night she looked good. She didn't look invincible, which I liked. You guys know I'm not a big fan of the no-sells unless it comes from Jacob Fatu. But I thought Megan Bayne looked great. I know about some of her work from Japan, and I'm super excited to see her continue to thrive here. So I'm like I said, rocket to the ass is what's going to happen with Megan Bayne. As that thing went on, we had another open challenge. This is where the show struggled for me. We had another Max Caster open challenge. Worst one we've had yet. Jay White just comes out and beats him in 2.2 seconds, basically. And then we get Jay White on the mic. By the way, I'm going to go ahead and call it. All right. I keep hearing all the rumor mills that say Jay White's going to turn on Cope Sunday. Jay White's going to turn on Cope Sunday. And then the stuff that Jay White said, he's Cope's boy. He's got Cope's back to the end. Leads almost kind of, if you know Jay White, Bullet Club, we know that he could do this at any moment. I don't think it happens yet. Okay. I don't think it happens yet. Now, I will say if Cope does win this title, I would love to see Christian come cash in that contract right after. Now, I'm not saying that he wins, but I would love to see him cash in. Again, predictions for tomorrow. But I do want to say that the Max Caster Open Challenge needs to end unless we do something different with it. And I don't dislike him in the ring. I just don't. This character isn't working, and the Open Challenge isn't working for me. But Jay White's going to stick with Cope for a little while longer. I believe that. I believe because he needs it. Not Jay White, but Cope. And then he's going to really help Jay White moving forward. I mean, who's hotter right now in the AEW than Cope is? I mean, the fans are really like eating out of his hand. So that was how we kind of ended things, except for our tag match. Tag match MVP was a great match. Our main event, I said MVP. The tag match, we had Ricochet and Okada taking on Swerve and Brody King. Now, again, you might think, here we've thrown together a tag match. Why the hell are we doing that? No, those work because you're getting Swerve and you're getting Ricochet. You're getting Brody and you're getting Okada now at Revolution. By the way, I can't freaking wait for that. But the thing of it is both of these teams worked well together. Like, honestly, I could see Swerve and Brody tag teaming up 1,000 times. Like, they look like they'd worked together a bunch, and maybe they have that I don't know about, but I thought that tag match was fantastic. Super surprised that Ricochet and Okada went over. I was surprised, but here again, swerving me on that, swerving me with Swerve. Swerving on that is actually a good move because I don't think there's anybody in the world that thinks Ricochet's winning over Swerve on Sunday. I don't think many people do. I honestly don't know how you can. Ricochet can keep this heel heat by losing. So, like, that to me works, but the whole tag worked. And I don't know. Normally I bitch about this kind of stuff. And Tony, I'm not bitching about it tonight. So, AEW, overall, A-. It's an A-. And right now we got 2 A- shows going into this week. That is how awesome wrestling has been. We got some more shows to go. SmackDown tonight. We got Collision on Saturday. And then obviously Revolution, AEW Revolution on Sunday. Now, guys, we're running out of time. I'm going to go through the TNA stuff really quick. Elijah, by the way, Elijah's first singles match, that entrance was phenomenal. All right, the Elijah, hey, walk with Elijah. I thought it was amazing. And Elijah went over Brian Myers. Then the system beats the hell out of Elijah. Joe Hendry comes down, clears everything out, makes the save with his guitar. Fantastic. Fantastic. Loved the penthouse section. Loved AJ Francis, Steve Macklin. By the way, AJ looked great. I love that they didn't make AJ the chicken shit heel. They made him a badass heel, and that's what he needs to be. He's too big to be chicken shit. So it looks like they're kind of running that back a little bit. And he ends up going over on Macklin later on. Bulletproof Steve Macklin. So could we see another push for AJ Francis, formerly known as Top Dollar? I would be okay with it because he's one of the bigger monsters in the game right now that I really enjoy, especially on the mic. Savannah Evans went over Zia Brookside. Was very surprised by that. Kind of caught me off guard. A decent match. Savannah Evans looked freaking good. That elbow to the back of the head she did was fantastic. We had Santana over my boy John Skyler. All right, Johnny S. He was going to be there to soften up Santana. Santana kept that string of being a complete badass, destroys Skyler. Hotch comes in to kind of compete afterwards to beat down Santana. That doesn't go too well. And then Santana goes backstage and is interrupted by Mustafa Ali, who says he now has to take a drug test. Now, if you know about Santana, he is clean and sober. He has had issues in the past with alcohol and substance abuse. He's doing so wonderful right now. He's clean and sober, and this was adding some realism into this stuff. Mustafa Ali is doing such good work. Now, Santana looks like he might have pissed in his coffee and kind of got him back. That's neither here nor there. Let's see, what else did we have? Moose and Obafemi. That's the face-to-face that everybody was looking for. By the way, Moose kicked Obafemi's ass after Obafemi might have beat up 74 security guys, but Moose looked freaking good. All right, and I cannot wait for Roadblock next Tuesday. I got to figure out how I'm going to watch it live because I don't get CW live here, and I got to figure that out. Anybody with CW, invite me. Invite the Slow Burn over, right? Northern Army, they went over the Rascals and Ace Austin. I didn't care for that. I didn't think that worked. I don't know why we're pushing this Northern Armory as hard. I like EY. I like Eric Young, but they do not need to go over the Rascals and Ace when we're getting ready to go into that Roadblock stuff against Wes Lee and his crew, Tyson DuPont and whatever the other fellow's name is. I always forget. Tyreek Egway. That's it. Tyreek Egway. I came up with it. So that was bad. Masha, she spoke, gets interrupted by Cora Jade, ends up getting her ass kicked by Tessa. They're leading more to that. We're going to get Tessa and Li Ying Lee. We know that's coming up at Sacrifice. Good. Let Tessa have some competition. Cora, glad to, hopefully Cora's not hurt. We know she got a little concussed the other night at NXT. Cora's going to be fine, hopefully, and we'll get that Masha Cora match. At the end, though, the Hardys go over the Colognes. Classic old school tag match. Really enjoyed it. System come down and basically took care of business, right? Huge setup. Now we're going to get that 10-man match at Sacrifice next Friday. I'll go more into depth with that with Matt Hardy, Joe Hendry, Elijah. They're going to be taking on the System. It's going to be good. Nick Nemeth's going to tag with them as well. By the way, great piece again by Ryan Nemeth. And then that brings us, guys, to the grade. And I graded it at a B-. It wasn't our best, and I'm sorry I'm not spending enough time on TNA this week. It's just that Dynamite was so damn good. Tonight on SmackDown, we're running out of time, guys. Tonight, they've basically released very little. We got 2 things released for SmackDown tonight. Chelsea versus Meechin. Chelsea Green versus Meechin for the U.S. title. That's going to be a street fight, so that could be fun. Don't you feel like we've seen this before? If they take that freaking belt off of Chelsea, I'm going to be pissed. It's going to be a really pissed off Saturday short tomorrow if they take that belt off of Chelsea, okay? And then, lastly, we know that Cody is going to appear and he is going to address everything that's happened. I can't quite remember exactly what it was that had happened. Dun, 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 dun. That's right, heel John Cena. We're going to get to address that, and hopefully Cody will address the fact that Travis Scott knocked the shit out of him, right? For real. By the way, apparently the busted eardrums that was reported by Dave Meltzer, imagine that Meltzer was wrong on something. Apparently that's not true, but Cody is going to, has a black eye, maybe some bruising and stuff, so they said Travis Scott clocked his ass. So 8 o'clock tonight, USA. Hopefully we'll get a good show. I got a good feeling about it because we don't know much. Last time they did a don't know much show, came out as being the best SmackDown we've had this year. So could be some really good stuff. Again, congratulations to Lex Luger on your Hall of Fame. And guys, Saturday short tomorrow, I will recap SmackDown, and then I will go over Collision and get some predictions for Revolution, guys. So that may wait to that for Sunday, but this has been the Slow Burn. Stay with us, guys. You're wrestling everything, so stay on top.